People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, guys. This week we have my buddy Vince Mendoza from up in New Jersey. I met him at a magic convention up there. Vince, you are from New Jersey, right?
I'm up in New Jersey, absolutely.
All right. So Vince, I've known Vince, 8 to 10 years now. I met him at a magic convention called Magicians Alliance of Eastern States. Mm-hmm. And that's a fun convention for us just because of our timeline. We have all these resorts. We work all summer. And we schedule our vacation beginning of September. And then the MAS convention is like the second week of September. So that's my light at the end of the tunnel after 183 shows, June through August. It's vacation, hanging out with my friends, spending money at the magic convention. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's awesome. And I love that convention. The first time I ever met Vince, I was actually competing against him. Do you remember that, Vince?
The first time that was the first time I competed in a long time. Yeah. That was, I can't remember the year now. Like what?
It was a while ago. But did you ever see Natalie and I compete up there together? You didn't see that.
I don't know. No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So when we had Lana, she decided to go ahead and just stay at home with Lana.
Oh, now, tell the truth. The first year, I came with her, and it wasn't nearly as fun because we had to pretty much be in the hotel room the whole time because she was, are you going to take a baby to all those lectures? She's bored. So, and then Wes, if you haven't noticed, gets very into this convention. He wants to experience everything, which is fine. But when you're the one that's up in the room waiting for dinner and you're starving, it's not so fun. So
I don't want to go away for lunch. I don't want to go 2 hours away for lunch and be late for the next lecture. I want to hang out in the dealer room and just eat a Cliff Bar or something, man.
Hey, I wasn't asking for 2 hours away. I was just asking for food.
I can imagine. Your attention is definitely split when you.
So anyway, she doesn't come anymore, Vince. We tapped on a vein here early on, man.
I know.
I go hang out with my mom.
Yeah, her mom has a swimming pool and they hang out with family, so that's fun.
That's cool. It's a different kind of a vacation, but you still get some family time in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the thing: if I told people I met you at a competition, we were competing against each other, they'd think we'd be enemies, man. But magic isn't like that.
No, magic is not like that. It's the camaraderie that builds up between everybody that's there. It's just you don't find it in a lot of places. You get to hang out with people that have the same kind of passion that you have for the same kind of things that you have. You sit there, you talk, and you trade. You trade secrets, and not all the secrets are about magic itself, but just about sometimes they're more important than about how to do a trick. It's about how to be a good person.
I mean, because when you're on the road like we are all the time, I mean, we get to talk to our friends. I was thinking about it the other night, thinking about this, talking to you today. Mm-hmm. Do you realize the time that I spend with you at that convention? I mean, and we come and go. I mean, you're not by my side the whole time, but I follow you around like a puppy a little bit. You're my buddy. I like hanging out with you. But I can spend on that 3-day weekend, I can easily say 5 to 10 hours with you. That's more than I spend with my own brother at Thanksgiving that I see once a year or a couple times throughout the year. So I see you more than I see my own family.
Yeah, that's true. That can be said. I can say the same thing also. Yeah. It's just it's a different kind of bond. The people that we meet in magic, become literally lifelong friends. And it's over this again. This love that we have. For this. It's it started off as a hobby, right? And I'm sure it started off as a hobby for you too. And it's become, your life, your livelihood, right?
Dude, the beginning of this episode starts with Penn Jillette saying, "I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him." Dude, every time I hear him, I well up a little bit, dude. That's all I wanted when I was a little kid. I just wanted a pat on the back from somebody higher up than me saying, "That was great. That was really good."
Absolutely. Listen, when I saw you on Penn and Teller, I couldn't have been more happy. Just seeing you there. And then when you fooled the crap out of them, I was like, yeah, they were just, and Penn's line, you totally heard him, just say, "I couldn't love this anymore." It was like,
Dude,
it was, yeah.
Because we had a viewing party, so I had 30 people in the house. And somebody called my attention. I looked away, and by the time I looked back, that little writing off the screen was fading away. And then everybody's saying, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Yay!" Yeah. I watched it over and over and over, every little nuance. It was amazing to have them pat me on the back like that.
Oh, absolutely,
Dude, I'm a little kid, man. My dad died when I was 25. So to have a father figure like that, or somebody, to look up to like that, it just makes it all seem worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, man.
Oh, well, thanks, man. But anyway, another thing I look forward to is hanging out at those after parties, because during the lectures and everything, I mean, somebody else is up there talking magic, talking theory, talking other things. But then the after party, we can let our hair down and really hang out and have fun. And sometimes it's just watching other people be stupid, but sometimes you take home... there's been years up there that I've learned more at the after party than I have in a 3-day weekend of watching lectures. It's been pretty amazing.
I can believe that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a chance for us to let our hair down, and sometimes, you get to hang out with some of the greatest acts that are around, because they come up and they hang out with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a couple of years ago, I don't remember. I don't know if you remember when Rob Zabrecki was there.
Right.
He was just hanging out with us like the rest of the guys. I mean, being Rob Zabrecki, but he was just hanging out with the rest of us. Who else? Do I? And it's funny. It's just. I mean, I guess I was part of MAES since the mid to late 90s. But I kind of fell away from magic for a little bit, so I was just doing a whole bunch of stuff. And then I guess around the time that you and I met was when I started getting back into magic around like 2004, around then. Okay,
so I think my first year there was probably, we got married 2008, so it might have been 2008 was our first year there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
And we've only missed one year since, because usually at the convention, at the last gala show, they tell you the dates, and I'll pencil it in my calendar that night. But one year they waited until like 2 months out to reveal the dates, and we already had stuff booked.
Yeah. Well, business is business, right?
Oh man, it was awful, but yeah, got to do it. What am I gonna do? But anyway, so keeping up with you and everything. Mm-hmm. I saw on your social media that you went over to Europe and became a member of the Magic Circle. Tell me about that. Magic Circle is an exclusive club over in Europe. We have the Magic Castle here, which is a private club.
Yeah.
But tell me all about the Magic Circle.
Well, that was an experience. So, like you said, there are these two, I guess, like I don't know, like what you would call Mount Rushmores of clubs to belong to. One is the Magic Castle, and one's the Magic Circle. So I still have the castle on my bucket list because I haven't had a chance to go up there. But I guess it was 2017 or 2016. There's a small convention called the Session that happens over there, and Andy Gladwin and Josh J, they run it over there.
That's in Europe? I didn't know that. I thought that was in America.
Yeah, well, they have Magi Fest over here.
Oh, right? I didn't know that. All right, cool.
It's So, but they have it's a small convention, sort of like MAES, small local convention. But I just decided that I wanted to go to this convention, and I was like, well, since I'm going over there, I'll be flying over to London. I'd like to apply. It'll give me a chance to apply to the Magic Circle. So I called them up and I told them I was going to be, going over there in a few months. But there is a huge backlog of people applying, and you don't just apply; you have to audition. And there's an entire process that they go through. They call it the examination, and then they vote on you whether you get in there or not. So I told them that I was going to be there in the area, but they told me not to expect anything because that convention was happening in early February, and they said the next opening that they had for an exam was like in May. So I was like, well, that doesn't work. I can't hang out here for like 4 or 5 months until you get around to me. So I'll just go over there, have a good time, and go to the convention. So I was over there, and like I said, our conventions are a lot of fun because once I got there, I didn't know. I was by myself. Didn't know anybody. I'm in a foreign country. But as soon as I walked in that night at dinner at the restaurant that they had there, I walked in. I sat down at a table by myself, and they were serving me. And I looked over, and I saw a couple of giants in magic. There was Michael Weber sitting and having dinner with Luc Germain. There were just the two of them sitting together. And I had met Luc Germain about 4 or 5 years before that. He had come to America, and he had done some lectures over here, and I got a chance to sit and talk with him. So when he kind of looked over my way, I just kind of waved, and they went back to their conversation, and I sat at the table by myself. But then a couple of minutes later, Luc Germain walks over to me and he says, "Why don't you come over here and join us?" He remembered me.
Oh, wow.
He remembered me from the one night at a lecture that he did, and we sat and we talked. So he invited me over to the table to join him. I was like, oh my goodness, it was I didn't know what to do, and you wouldn't know it because I'm just rambling on and on. But I was almost dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say when I sat down. I said hello, it was polite and all that, but I didn't know what to say. And then Luke actually remembered something that I showed him. So he asked me to show Michael Weber, and there is an effect that we do. So there are different branches of magic, right? There's magic, and then there's a sub branch of magic that you call mentalism. And in that, that's the mind reading stuff and all that, but stuff that looks, supernatural or paranormal or things like that we can duplicate.
Right.
So, I had shown, Germain something that I do. There's an effect that magicians do called a stigmata effect.
Okay.
And it's, it's where it mimics. It's got a lot of religious overtones, first of all.
The only person I know ever to do a stigmata was Wayne Houchin.
Yeah.
I've never seen you do this. I can't wait.
Well, I'll show it to you. When we get a chance. The thing about it is, I didn't really want to go for strong religious overtones doing this effect, but I wanted an impact. Basically, what it looks like is I shoved my finger through my hand. That I talk about, that, and this is a true story. When I grew up in Canada, I was born in the Philippines, and when I was 7 years old, we ended up moving to Canada. So the first place we lived, we were downtown, and a few houses down, there was an older woman there. and like pretty much all the kids on the block were terrified of her, like she was a witch or something like that, you know. But I remember, like, the first winter I was there, it snowed. There was a lot of snow in the driveway and stuff. And never having done it before, I loved shoveling snow because I had just gotten there. I now hate shoveling snow. But at the time, you know, I was like, oh, you know. So I noticed that after, you know, the driveway was shoveled and the other driveways were shoveled, that Miss Hester's driveway wasn't shoveled, you know. So I just walked down there. I started shoveling the driveway, and she came up and opened her side kitchen door. You know, she called me over. I was scared. She was like, "Did your mother send you here to do this?" And I was like, "No, I just thought, you know, that I would help." So, and I remember that, you know, she gave me some hot cocoa. But that was the first time I remembered the term, that somebody used the term old soul, because I remember her calling me an old soul.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Okay.
So I used that story in the presentation because, you know, I say that, you know, I was called an old soul, and that apparently, then I go into, you know, the fiction part of it. Apparently, you know, if you remember the crucifixion story, it wasn't just, you know, Jesus that was crucified that day. There were two other men that were crucified with him.
Right.
And so the story that I tell is that, according to Miss Hester, I was one of the two men. You know, of course, one praised, you know, Jesus and glorified him, and the other one, you know, wouldn't recognize him as the Son of God. And the way I tell the story is Miss Hester never told me which one I was or I am, you know, so I'm still trying to find out. But then I tell a story that, you know, being one of the guys that were crucified that day, I have a hole in the palm of my hand, and at that point I press into the palm of my hand, and it looks like my finger goes through. It looks like my finger goes through my hand where there would have been a hole. So I remember when I did that effect to Luc Germain when he was here, he literally jumped backwards and out of his chair.
Wow.
So
what did Michael Weber think?
He thought it was great. He thought it was, you know, he was like, it was a very interesting way to use, because one of the things that I like doing in magic is taking advantage of whatever you can. Okay, so I have a weird thing,
Right.
about my hand, and because I have this weird thing about my hand, I decided to weave the story into it. And once you get caught up in the story, I mean, you don't notice this thing about my hands, you know, in everyday life. But once I start telling the story, it brings focus into the hand. And then when I say that, you know, there's a hole in my hand and I can put my finger through it, and you look at my hand, all of a sudden it looks like I'm putting my finger through it.
Well, have you seen Michael Hewitt, the Canadian guy? He's got the Michelle.
Yes, Michelle. Yes.
He's got that. I don't
That
know.
lump on his forehead. Yes.
It's a lump on his forehead. He does a magic trick and makes it look like it goes from his mouth up to his forehead, and he just leaves it there.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's similar. It's similar to that. You know, I have what's called a ganglion cyst.
Wow.
You know, so when I flex my hand, it pops out of the back of my hand. So
So it's not something you can teach or put on the market.
No, not at all.
Wow.
It's funny because I mean, a lot of my stuff is sort of like that. One of the guys up here locally ran a magic company called Xanadu. It was Art Con, and years ago we were doing a magic benefit for one of the guys here locally, Professor Ted Collins, who ran Mecca Magic here in New Jersey, and I was lucky enough to have been asked to be one of the acts that night. So I wanted to do something special, you know, for that night. And what I ended up doing was I came up with an effect where I talked about, you know, being new to magic and you are, you're raw, you're unshaped and all this. And then you find a mentor and they help you to become a magician. So the process that the way I wanted to show it was to walk out on stage with a twig that I'd broken off a tree, and as I'm telling this, I didn't want there to be any flashes or any movements or anything like that. But as I'm telling this, when they look back at the twig, it became a mahogany wand with brass tips.
Wow!
So it just changed like that. I was very, very gratified to it was a room full of magicians, so as I'm telling this story, as I'm weaving it, when I called their attention back to this, and everybody looked at the wand and everybody looked at the twig and it had become a wand, I heard like a collective from the room, because everybody was surprised. I'm like, yes, I got away with it, So like I was saying, Art Khan, who was a magic dealer up here afterwards, came right up to me, and it was like, "This is excellent. Let's market this twig to wand. How does this work?" And then I told him how I did it, and he was like, yeah, "We can't sell that."
Never mind.
I'm like, no, because you can't, because literally. As literally all I did was I put one thing down and I picked up the other thing, but because I was gesturing and I'm talking at the same time, it just completely I wasn't calling attention to it until I did call attention to it, and people saw that I was holding this brown thing in my hand, and even when the brown thing became a wand with brass tips, it was still a brown thing until I told them that it's not a brown thing. It's a wand now.
Well, your penguin lecture opened up with a vanishing a lid off a water bottle.
Yes.
And
yes.
you come out there and you're just waiting for the lecture to start, and
Right.
who walks out there and just sets a drink down? Everybody. Everybody starts their lecture that way. And you unscrew the lid, and the cleanest vanish of a lid ever. And it's like, whoa! No, wait! I saw him unscrew it. I saw him do. Whoa!
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it again, Vince. But and you teach the secret in the lecture. But I mean, at first take, wow! It blew me away, and it was just one of those things that you did with mannerisms and just in the moment.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do in the moment, and it's funny because I always like to make a distinction between looking or seeing and observing. We can only observe for so long. I mean, usually we go through life looking at things, we see things, but to observe, like to really, study something, that can only happen for so long, and then your mind starts to wander. It's just the way our minds are. So, if you're doing something, people make note of it, your brain makes note of it, and if it's not, completely out in left field, your brain just says, okay, those are normal actions. And I try to take advantage of that as often as I can.
That was beautiful. It was really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were showing your stigmata to the Michael Weber and Luke Germain, and what happened at the circle? Let's finish the circle story.
Okay, so let's go to the circle, right? So that night, so they, Germain and Weber made me feel really, really welcome there. And then, I got to meet a whole bunch of other people. But that night at the hotel, I get a call, and they say that a spot has opened up, but we need you to come, this Monday. So I had intended to stay a couple of days after the lecture, anyways. But that was like Friday night. So that coming Monday, I had to go into London and do this examination, do this audition. So I only had, I traveled over there, so I only had a few things with me. I didn't have a whole bunch of stuff. I had my linking rings on me. I had a ring and rope routine, and I had coins and silk that I was going to do. So, anyways, so the lecture part of it was, the convention part of it was absolutely phenomenal. Let's jump to Monday night. I get I get to the Magic Circle. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. It's got these insignias on the doors of the zodiac symbols.
Yeah, in
right?
a circle.
Yep, they go around in the circle, right? So once you get in, they don't just let anybody in. You have to be invited or be a member to come in. So I arrived. There was a doorman there. I introduced myself, and I said that I was here for the examination. I had been asked to come in that night, so my name was on the list. And they told me that it would start in a little bit, but to go inside and enjoy the lounge. So I went in there, met a whole bunch of people in there. That was a lot of fun. Finally, we get to the exam, and one of the guys that was there was Daryl Rose, who was sort of watching me. He was like my chaperone that night. He was there to help me, and thank goodness for him, because I was nervous as all heck.
Right. Right.
There were 4 of us that were doing the examination that night, and I ended up being the 3rd person to go. So, first person gets up, he starts doing some card magic, and he starts doing a few things, and then he does a ring and rope routine. And I looked at Daryl and I was like, all I have with me are some rings, a ring and rope routine, and some coins. So he's like, he's doing a ring and rope routine. I'm going to have to take it out. He's like, no, it's okay. Just, go ahead and do it. I'm like, all right. So he gets done. He's done his routine. Second person gets up. He does, some coin magic. He does some stuff. And he does a ring and rope routine.
Oh, no.
So I look at Daryl, and Daryl's like, all you have to do is do it better. I'm like, oh.
Wow, that's not asking much.
Yeah. So they get done, and then they call me up, and what I didn't know was sitting in that audience that night was Joan Caesar. Now, Joan Caesar is one of the people that run another convention called 4F that happens up in Buffalo on this side. And it's a very exclusive invitation-only magic convention. So I didn't
Fechter's Finger Flicking Frolic.
Yes. Yeah. That was originally called Fechter's Finger Flinging Frolic. Now it's called Obi's 4F, because Obi O'Brien is now he runs it now. But I get up there. I do my ring routine. Were you there the year that I competed with the linking ring routine?
Yeah, at MAES. Yeah.
At MAES. Yeah. So the close up linking ring routine is something that I used to absolutely hate. I just could not wrap my head around them. I'm like, these are goofy. They're also, they are these 5-6 inch rings, and the way magicians are holding them, they're hiding like a third of the ring. So they just never made sense to me. But
and you're not meaning to. It's just you have to hold it. I mean, you're going to be hiding a third of it, right?
Right. So but what I would do is I would watch the audience and the way they react to the rings, and the audience seemed to love them. I mean, lay people, the audience watching these things, love them. So I was like, there's something there, but the way it's being done, I it's not me. I can't put my own, So one of the things that I love doing with magic is putting my own spin on things. So I started studying the rings, and I basically I tore them apart. I deconstructed them. Went back to I went back to like the beginning of it, and then I started building my routine from scratch. And as I would come up, with things to do with them, I started thinking to myself, I studied as many other routines as I could, but, I started thinking to myself, okay, how is this being done now? And, however many ways, okay, there are 7 different ways that I know how this is done. I have to come up with an 8th way that nobody has done before, So every step of the way, I tried to do something different, the way the rings were being held. I wanted the audience, when I was holding the rings, to always see, or at least believe that they were seeing 100% of the rings at all times. That they were just hanging there. I didn't have my hands completely around them. They were just hanging off of one finger, or, so I came up with this routine. I did this routine in front of the guys, and I was really, really satisfied that it was received so well. I had done it before over here. Actually, that routine, when I did it at MAES, I won the originality trophy that year, which is something about MAES. It's not something that they give out every year. So when they awarded me that trophy, I was like really, really honored that and for them to look at this routine and to see something original in a magic trick that everybody does,
right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's so easy to just say, "Oh, guys doing linking rings," and just start to wonder because we see it so much.
Right,
so for them to look at it and realize that your handling was totally original and totally unique, that says something about the judges right there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, and then when I got to the ring and rope routine, I started going through that, and it was funny because when I pulled out the rope with the ring, you kind of heard everybody kind of go, "Oh, yeah," because they had seen 2 other routines with a ring and a rope before. So I did mine. They enjoyed it. Then I did my silk through coins through silk, and I was really happy that it was received very, very, very well by everybody, and even happier that afterwards, when they were, everything was done, everything was over. Like I said earlier, Joan Caesar came up to me and was like, have you considered coming to 4F? She was ready to sponsor me to go to 4F, and I was taken aback, and I was very honored by just by that gesture. But luckily, at that point, I had actually found a couple of sponsors that sponsored me to go to the 4F. So I wasn't gonna end up going, and I told her that I would see her there. So she was really happy about that too.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, but so the magic circle is I received. And there are different levels of membership. I had just taken the exam thinking that I would just become a regular member. But what they ended up doing was, after they saw what I had done, they awarded me a membership with an additional level. So they made me an AMIC with Silver Star. So there's a with Silver Star, and then like the grand level is like with a Gold Star. So I was awarded the one with Silver Star. So
just
I
with
was
one performance. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's.
So do you have to keep up membership over here? I mean, you haven't been back. Are you getting a newsletter or anything?
Yeah, I get a newsletter online. So Daryl Rose was the president for a little while, so he would keep me in the loop of stuff. They do, but even before all this stuff happened, they were doing stuff online, so I could keep up with what was going on over there online. And when I get a chance to go back, of course, I'll spend some time there. And the guys over there were just so much fun.
Wow.
And in general, I just it doesn't matter where we go. When we get a group of magicians together and we start sessioning and we start talking and we start about everything, we just really have a good time.
That's anywhere. Anytime you walk into a magician, that's one thing I like about, hanging out with everybody at the convention at nighttime.
Yep.
We can talk a language that only we understand, and we feel so. Me especially, I'm in Virginia, and where I was way far away from anybody else, especially any other full timers. So
Right.
I really felt lonely. I really felt like I was by myself.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
I mean, Jersey, you have weekly magic shows you can go to, and you can hang out with friends, and there's all kinds. You can always session with somebody.
Yeah,
Here,
I
I'm the only full time magician in both the magic clubs that I go to.
Yeah, but I think it can be a benefit in that you become kind of original. You know?
Yeah.
You're not you don't get too influenced. It's funny because my dad used to call me an anti-establishmentarian. I just had to go against the grain. No matter what the grain was, I just had to go against it. So it's sort of the same way with magic. If everybody's doing everything one way, I have to find a different way to do it. So.
But that's great for magic. That really is wonderful for magic.
Yeah, well, I was actually talking with another friend of mine. He's in the film industry, and he was talking about how there was somebody in his industry who was, sharing some trade secrets that he wasn't really, happy about it. And he asked me, he was like, as a magician, would you give your secrets away? What would happen if, people knew your secrets? And I was like, well, it would force me to have to come up with new secrets.
Yeah.
I'm like, it kind of pushes you, so in a way, it's annoying when people, do expose, how some of the stuff that we do. But when we can find a different way of doing something, then it's a whole lot, and that's one of the things that I love about this. Okay, so Triumph, right?
Right. The card trick, yeah.
The card trick. So basically, that's a card is chosen. The rest of the deck is mixed up, face down. The card is put back into it, so you don't know whether the card is face up or face down or whatever. But through magic, you end up straightening the deck, and the only card that's in the opposite direction is the card that's chosen. Now, as magicians, okay, you can know, and it's a great trick. You can know like 37 different ways to do this trick, Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of different ways. But if somebody shows you a 38th way to do this trick that you already know 37 different ways to do, you become a little kid again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are just as amazed as the first time you saw it, And that's what I love about this. Magic helps turn people, into kids.
But the other thing, through magic, all right, so Masked Magician came on television, and he revealed a song in half. Mm-hmm. Well, that was the same song in half that Lance Burton was using on his stage.
Yeah.
But all he did was double it. He saw two girls in half and switched the boxes and told them, yeah, he says you do it this way, but it can't be done this way. And he just used a prover to prove the Masked Magician wrong and used the same trick and fooled the audience that had just seen it on television. He told them where to look.
Yep, absolutely.
That's magic.
That is, yeah. And there are times when, I've shown another magician something, or they've shown me something, and then, you run into them a few months later, and they'll show me something, and I'm like, wow, what was that? And he's like, you showed this to me.
That was the trick you showed me, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, it's great to be able to recapture that kind of, wonderment. There's not enough of it around, and whenever we can get a little piece of it, it's just a whole heck of a lot of fun.
It just turns into a kid like we've ever grown up, you and me, Vince. But it turns us into a kid again, man. It really does.
It does.
So when you did your Penguin Live lecture, that's still available.
That is still available. That's online. Absolutely. Yes.
You did some killer stuff on there, but one of my favorite tricks of yours that I've seen you do live is the TV character card trick, which was the fill deck, but it was your updated version of that.
Yes.
Fantastic,
absolutely.
fantastic. Can they get that? Can they get that from you, or they have to go to Penguin to buy that?
I make up the decks, and I owe you a deck actually.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting several years.
The funny thing is, the deck that I still use, I think so basically, instead of just random names, what I did was I used the names of characters on different TV shows, right? But
it's 52 names. So the fill deck is by Max Maven, and it is name any card. I wrote down the name of your card, and you turn over the prediction. It says Sam. Well, and it's the name on the back, and that's the joke. But you made it more fun by saying, hey, this is Laverne and Shirley.
Right.
And so great. So great.
It's a lot. It's funny because I remember I was doing a lecture, and I was showing that trick, and people were asking why I used, and I tell people that this is the only trick that I know of where I can read a list of 50 names and the entire room is not bored. I mean, like literally, that's what I'm doing. It's name after name, But people get engrossed in it because they hear a name. I say Cosmo, Jerry, Elaine. Suddenly they're like, oh, that's Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, yeah.
Yep. I'm like Archie, Edith, Meathead. So all of a sudden, they're recalling these TV shows.
Wait, Natalie doesn't know that one. Let's give her a second. Nope. Who is that, Natalie? She was born in '84. She doesn't know who that is. Who is it, Natalie? Who is it?
Don't they sing the song at the piano together?
They sing the song at the piano. She does know it. There you go.
Absolutely.
Woody Harrelson did the live version.
There you go.
Not that long ago.
Yes.
We do a version of Maccomical Deck where it's movie posters, because I grew up in a movie. My dad had a video store,
right.
And we have the soundtrack play before I turn the picture around. They play the soundtrack, and then 007, and the audience starts getting, Wizard of Oz, Superman, 007, Harry Potter. They really get into it, and then we start the trick. But that's just audience participation and fun, man.
It is a lot of fun,
and that's what makes the show.
It absolutely does, yeah. And I had one magician ask me after, and I don't think they were being mean or anything like that. But like you said, it gets the audience involved. It pulls them into the trick. So one of the names that I ended up calling out was DJ. So I think the guy was just trying to be funny, but he raised his hand. So I call on him, and he's like, "Is that DJ from Full House? Oh, no, from Full House. No,
Full House. Full House had a DJ
from Full House or DJ from Roseanne." And I was like, "Does it matter? Because you just proved my point. You got sucked into the trick. You started thinking about it,
Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh, damn, you're right."
Well, you do DJ, and then you do Dan following it, and that tells you Roseanne.
Right.
Yeah. Fantastic, dude. So where can they buy that trick? Can they buy it from you? Contact you? Email you?
I mean, if you call me, I guess I can make it up for you. The deck that I still use, the newest characters on it are, I guess, from Friends, because I've been using it since the
Wow.
I've been using it since the 90s. I haven't really updated it. I've thought about updating. You just use people from different TV shows that you enjoy. And one of the subtleties that I like using in it is I don't name all the characters in the show, because you're pulling one card out. That's the card that they end up thinking of. So if you used all the characters, they would know which card it ended up. Like if you mentioned everybody in the Jeffersons, but you didn't say Wheezy, then they would know that it was Wheezy. Right. But if you always left a few characters off, then they're like, oh, who could it be? They're wondering the entire time. So
with that card trick, they can order it from you. Can they order your Penguin lecture from you, or do they have to go to Penguin for that?
They can go to Penguin for that.
Okay.
I have to. I was given a few cards that but I'm out of those. I would have to get some more, but they can definitely go to Penguin and pick up that lecture. That lecture is full of like a whole bunch of different stuff that it's not just card tricks. It's really a whole bunch of different things. I do this thing in there I call Clifford.
Which I love, which I stole from you, I borrowed from you, I asked permission. I love it.
Absolutely, and I gladly give you permission. But you end up making, a 4 foot tall, giant balloon dog, and I love doing this effect because one of the things that I do is, I pick out a kid from the audience. And, we have a little back and forth, and I end up, bursting a little balloon animal that I'm ready to make for them, and I feel bad about it, and I end up making them, this gigantic balloon dog. But what I love doing about it is finding the mom or dad in the audience and just looking at them and going, you have to find a way to get this in the car, right? And you can look. Just the look on their faces like, why are you doing? Because, yes, we do have to take this home.
I love it. So what we were doing with it, every time I had a helper on stage, I would pump up a balloon and make him a dog. I'd make the next guy a teddy bear. I'd make the next lady a flower. Mm-hmm. And then Natalie, we do like a I Love Lucy type thing. She's always trying to outdo me. She says, I got the next one. And then she pulls out 16 balloons that are linked together from behind and twists this big old dog and outdoes me. But it's so funny they get back in a theater. I mean, where do they put it in their seat? And then you see them after the show, and they're trying to carry it out to the car. For us, it's so funny.
It's hysterical. It's hysterical. Yeah. So, I love doing that.
But the other people get jealous, like they want it, but they don't understand the struggle about trying to get that big, huge thing home.
It's funny because, like you said, basically... the way I came up with it was, okay, I have a friend of mine who's a balloon decorator, right? At different parties, people make balloon arches, people make, all kinds of different things. And one of the things that my brain always does is it finds connections between things, So she had asked me to help her. I was helping her out, and she asked me to take these balloons and tie 16 of them together to make an arch. So I did that, and then I looked at it, and I was like, this is a pearl poodle.
Wow, yeah.
So I was like, and then I started twisting this thing to see if I could turn it into a poodle. And she's like, what are you doing? It's supposed to be an arch.
Well, you did that at the convention, and right after you got off stage, I went whispering, I went running back there to you. Is that yours? Can I have permission? What is that? And you said that was it Bill Cook did the same thing. He had just left when I come running up to you. Yeah, everybody loved it, man.
It was definitely. It's a lot of fun, it's really gratifying to have your peers look at something that you do and enjoy it, and want to do it also, So absolutely, yeah.
Well, you also had a torn and restored string, which in magic terminology is a gypsy thread. You had one called String Theory that you brought out on the market. And,
yes.
And the paper rose. Do you have DVDs? They're still on the market. Do they buy those from you, or do they go to Penguin?
They can go. The String Theory I put out with Murphy's. So they can go on Murphy's, and they can do that. That's actually, there's a French troupe called Les Black Fingers, and they contacted me. They wanted to use the effect on French TV for a show called Le Mandrake, which is like a huge French magic production. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's cool.
So they
Sorry.
Oh, that's
if
all
you
right.
hear the babies chirping in the background, guys. Sorry.
How are you?
Live recordings, guys.
No, I wanted to see you guys. Brand new parents. God bless you, because you guys. Oh my goodness, it's the love and devotion and the work that goes into it. But I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's like, oh, I got to go home and babysit. I'm like, what do you mean you got to go home and babysit? They're your kids.
Right.
That's
Yeah. Yep.
That's not babysitting. That's yeah. So, but So
your paper rose there was a DVD of that taught that, correct?
That was a download.
Okay.
When Eric Jones and Xavier Spade started Lost Art Magic, they asked me if I could help them out by putting one of my things on there. So I gave them, at the time I called it the Saint Exupéry Rose, which was at the time I named it after the author of The Little Prince. And that version of it is made with paper napkins. Since then, I've renamed it after my mom. My mom passed away. It'll be coming up on 2 years this January. So I found a way to make it using tissue paper. And the rose looks a lot better, a lot sturdier. The thing about with this paper rose is it looks like a real rose.
Dude, it looks fantastic. I'm lazy. I make the quick, fast, stupid ones, but yours makes mine look ridiculous. Yeah, yeah.
But I used to make the fast rose. That's how I learned. But the thing that always bugged me about it was, it didn't look real enough. So again, one of the things that I did was I deconstructed that, and from scratch, I looked at the way chefs use vegetables to make roses, about how ribbons are used to make roses. I looked at a whole bunch of different ways. A friend of mine from Korea showed me how to make a carnation, actually, from paper, and I sort of took that idea. And then when I realized it didn't all have to be one sheet of paper, it could be a whole bunch of different pieces of paper that get put together to make the rose. I was able to put this rose together.
Well, it's definitely the best looking paper rose that you'll ever see. As far as your penguin lecture, your string theory magic trick, your paper rose download, all that stuff. If people email you, you can send them in the right direction, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
And what was your email address?
My email is my first name, Vincent, and then the letters IZED. So it's Vincentized, like the word hypnotized, Vincentized@gmail.com.
Awesome. And what social media can people find you on?
I'm on Facebook mostly right now. I apparently have an Instagram and a Twitter account, but I am not savvy enough to have really put stuff on there. I've got friends that are helping me out to start using that part of social media. But until then, I'm on Facebook mostly, and it is the real Vince Mendoza. You know what? Let me double check.
Well, here's the thing. Your social media, I love you, Vincent, like a brother. I would do anything for you. I give you a shirt off my back. But some of your posts on Facebook are so obscure. Like, you could be watching something on television and you just say a word about it. And like, I'm supposed to know what channel you're on. I'm supposed to know what you're watching, what that's in reference to. But I felt like I was in the in crowd because one day you only posted nipple magic. Yay. And that was it. But I knew exactly what that was about. But your obscure Facebook posts sometimes drive me crazy, man. But nipple magic was Mario Lopez. He did a trick on Penn and Teller Fool Us. He made his nipple disappear. I knew that one. But there's a lot of times you just put a couple words up there, and I'm like, daggone it. I'm not cool enough to know what that even means.
It's not that. I have friends that were like messaging me, and and they're like, "What the hell?" I was like, "I don't post for everybody. I don't." And then the funny thing is, how Facebook throws memories up, right?
Right.
So it'll throw a memory up, and it'll be like from 4 years ago, and I'm looking at it and going, "What the hell was I thinking when I wrote that?"
It doesn't even make sense to you. Well, dude, we're out of time, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, dude. I had a blast. We'll have to do this again.
I had a great. It flew by. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to talk for an hour," but it flew by.
We're at 54 minutes. If at an hour, it's gonna just cut us off regardless.
Right.
So,
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Stay on the line, man, because I want to talk to you after. We're just going to say the plugs here and wrap everything up.
Congratulations on the newborns,
Oh,
and God
thanks.
bless. Yeah. All right. Thank
Thanks,
you for
dude.
having me. Love you both so much.
Hold on, buddy. Just stay on the line, though.
Absolutely.
So that's Vincent Mendoza. I told you guys he's awesome. Tonight on Jewel TV, episode 5 called Getting Press is going to air at 7 p.m., which starts now. So as this uploads, you can either listen to this or find it on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire right after you listen to this podcast. It's also on the Jewel TV app and tons of other places. It's going to be over 100 million households tonight, so you should be able to find it. During pandemic time, people want to know where I'm working. I am working Round Hill Farm all October, Saturdays and Sundays. If you're in the area, stop by. Find us on Facebook to check out showtimes. And see you next week. Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Express Copy and Graphics. Mention promo code Wes Iseli to get 10% off. Their website is expresscopy.com. That's XPRESS-COPY.com. They do it all. Copies, banners, signs, vehicle wraps, promo items, practically anything you need printed, they can do it for you. These guys are great. Check them out. Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.